to be the man, you gotta beat the man right here.
Here's the future of wrestling. You can call this the new world order of wrestling, brother.
Nobody is on my level. Everything I touch turns to gold.
Believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today.
Woo! Wrestling is Real podcast. This is King of Podcasts. Thanks for listening in, catching the show. WrestlingIsReal.com is the website where everything you need is right there. You want to catch all the latest episodes in video and audio form. Video just has a slate with my voice. But people like to listen on YouTube, right? So it's there. Plus, wherever you subscribe to the show, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, it's all there. Plus, you can also find the show. I put social media up there. You can find the episodes. I put it up there on Twitter and Facebook. And, I also have other things I put up there for myself. I got my social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and, other places. So it's all there for you. WrestlingIsReal.com, that's where everything is at. Now, I want to go and bring out the first part of everything here, just saying about stuff. I know that my fellow podcast wrestling brethren, they can't help themselves with the constant barrage of, they just have to have something to complain about. Oh, Sami Zayn's not going to be included in the world title match. Okay. Tony Khan's talking crap about Vince McMahon or WWE, whatever. Okay, yeah. And, is Sasha Banks ever coming back? Or, whatever. It's like, there's always this dirt that has to continue to go on that I don't care about at all. But people want to just go ahead and work on it and just find something more to complain about and people that are unhappy about. Meanwhile, WWE is giving us probably some of the best work that they've been able to do in a long time. Let's just put it like that. It's been very solid. I brought up last week, I think Rob Fee, who's the person that's really in charge of long-term creative, has been doing the job. They're not going to say anything about it. Nothing's being talked about it within the internet wrestling community or with yours truly, right? I mean, I'm the only one I think that's bringing up his name, because I brought up the story last week about how he came in. And if you look at the storylines that have been going on since Survivor Series, yeah, you can see the difference. There's some really good stuff going on right now. Really good stuff. But if you look, tell me something. I mean, do you see anything about Rob Fee even considered or brought up? But he must be doing his job over there. Must be doing something. And as you know, the background tells everything. Because he was a horror writer. He penned comics for Spider-Man and the Avengers. Head writer on numerous Disney shows. Produced for Will Smith, Ryan Reynolds. And as a friend of Bray Wyatt. Now, the Bray Wyatt stuff has not panned out yet. Doesn't help that we had the Pitch Black match. The Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. I think part of it is, I don't like too much what we're going with about the direction of that storyline. They haven't done much with it, but they've kind of kept it like, listen, I think part of it is, I didn't care for everything that's going on with where they're going with that character. That's going to be something they're not going to worry about right now. They're going to just, they're putting him over with stars in the mid-card, something, right? Start off with LA Knight, move on to Hit Row, that's it. And he's been getting compliments online, by the way. February 1st, Big Ryan at Texaco Snow, he actually wrote it and says, I think more people need to talk about the amazing work that Rob Fee does as director of long-term creative. His addition in October made an immediate difference in the quality of shows. It's amazing work for sure. And he says, I always agree and welcome compliments. Now, he hasn't been talking a lot about what he's been doing. So he's kept kind of quiet. But people are recognizing, a very small few actually recognize that by having somebody on, in the case of right here, right? In the case that we're having maybe a select few that might be inside baseball or inside wrestling and might be paying attention. They probably see what's happening here. And it's working. Because right now, what I'm seeing, the Bloodline storyline is, put it like this. The NWO didn't even have that good an intricate storyline like this does. I mean, sure, the Outsiders had their own thing, but like, of defining the antagonists and defining those that are going to be the focus of the Bloodline. Very much focused where Sami Zayn has been focused on Roman Reigns, but now eventually he's trying to go ahead and focus with Kevin Owens, restoring that relationship of 20 plus years to get them to team up to go against the Usos. But we have the storyline where, well, I mean, in some cases you would think, you know, a couple of years ago, WWE would probably again have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn already patch things up. But no. I was surprised that we got to see this direction where Kevin Owens logically gives a reason why not. And now they got to build that up and pull the heartstrings. Sami Zayn losing that match. Kevin Owens having to go ahead and save his buddy because he doesn't want to see his family see him get bloodied and hurt. I mean, Kevin Owens putting out a lot of heart right there. Storyline being sold so well. But that storyline right there with Sami and Kevin at the start of Raw was great. Great. Some people want to go and complain about Paul Heyman not being in the ring with Cody Rhodes, but they're selling the storyline that Paul Heyman got stunned and Paul Heyman was not going to be out there. So that, I mean, listen, I get whether people want to have a thing about it, but look, the storyline's consistent. There's a continuity. Oh, that word. I can't tell you how many times I heard that word continuity on various of my fellow podcast wrestling brethren's programs. They don't have continuity. They're not, when the one storyline goes on, it's the part in between. We always talked about the fact on this program, beginning and an end, always pretty good. That middle part, not so much. We now have continuity. We now have a continuation of storyline. And we have plot twists. Plot twists with Kevin Owens not doing the predictable thing of going back and teaming back up with Sami Zayn to build the match up. No. Dave Meltzer talked about, then maybe in 3 weeks we'll get that set up. Hey, we got 5 more weeks. Milk it. We already know what's going to come. And by the way, it's not like the show needs to go and build up and get more seats. They already sold it out. Elimination Chamber had the best gate they had ever for a show, especially for a premium live event. And as far as I know, the card is pretty much set. Like, they have a lot of matches already mentioned, already set up for April 1st and 2nd. They already got, look, the matches already got 3 matches already official. And there are other matches that are going to finally go ahead and finalize, right? Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Asuka. We got about another 13 matches, I guess, left to go. Maybe more than that. That's good. They're working it out. It's all going to work itself out. This is great storytelling. The Sami Zayn stuff right now, the whole intertwined 9 months, completely compelling, completely interesting, and for a star that's been established for a long time in that company, Sami Zayn is one of the examples where you put a lot of focus on him. I mean, Roman Reigns said it during the Elimination Chamber match. You were out here doing this stuff with, when he was, when Sami turned. Roman Reigns talking about, you were out here fooling around with Johnny Knoxville doing jackass matches. Because remember that WrestleMania match last year? It was a focus. But Sami Zayn was nowhere up near the main event. You would never have thought that from year to year, Elimination Chamber, Sami Zayn was going to get a title shot against a 900-day champion. No. And given a good match and a lot of heat and an overwhelming amount of pressure, because there was an unsurmountable, plunder that came in by the Bloodline to make it impossible for Sami to win. And then Kevin Owens coming out to the rescue. You have that team right there at odds. Jimmy and Jay are still at odds. Still. We have not seen Solos go in a couple weeks, right? Or we haven't seen him, at all. And then you have other storylines that are going on. Edge and Judgment Day. A lot of different pieces going on there. Rhea Ripley having to go and do double duty with Judgment Day and Edge. And doing, eventually she's going to have to go ahead and put the focus on her match against Charlotte Flair. Now you have Asuka all set up to take on Bianca Belair. Great. Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. We know that match is coming up in the works. They just haven't finalized it yet. Probably will be a contract signing to get that there. And you're still getting good matches around. Like, you're not stretching things out. There's a lot of things going on. That's wonderful. They're figuring it out. We're going to talk all about that. Let's go and break down some of the storylines they've been doing right, storyboarding it, beginning to end, giving us some major points every week. Sometimes I don't think of it as the whole story every week, but you know what? There are things going on to progress a storyline of major WrestleMania storylines. One of the best built WrestleManias in years. Since the Attitude Era, I want to say. Really. We'll talk about it. Taking from WrestlingNews.co, you look at what they're doing right, and anybody that's thinking that what was going to happen now with a couple of the main matches that had not been officially announced yet. So, with Roman Reigns defending his title against Sami Zayn, the opportunity that Sami Zayn could have been put into the title picture at WrestleMania, they resolved that. The Usos got involved, but Jay did not turn on Sami Zayn. Instead, Sami Zayn accidentally speared Jey Uso before Jay could decide whether he was going to hit Zayn with a chair. Again, suspense. We don't know where Jey Uso is in the mix. The one that was always a little bit of iffy. Remember, because Jey Uso was, the right hand of Roman Reigns before Jimmy came back. So Jey Uso's always been, if you wanted to tell that story, he's always been confronted and always had to be brought back in the line. Like, he's always been, when he started to become a bigger star, the whole idea was that Roman Reigns had to put him back in line. And that's what's going to happen here. Because if Jey Uso was signing up with Sami and the friendship they had, if Jey was going to actually help out Sami, that was the whole point. But they did everything what they needed to do right. Sami and Kevin get the heat back in front of Montreal. But Owens didn't stay with Zayn in the ring. He went to the back. The detail is very good. That's paying attention. Now, WWE was actually planning to do Zayn and Owens challenge the Usos for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. But they don't want to add Zayn to the Cody Rhodes match at WrestleMania. That's the plan. Coming out of Elimination Chamber, there was the thought that, and reports came out about this too. This is also the other IWC thing that has to be contended with, right? The report that Vince McMahon and Triple H didn't see Sami Zayn as a main event star, even though he's boosted TV ratings, attendance, and interest in recent weeks. No. And Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer, makes this point. He says, I know what the plan was of even a week ago, and it was Roman and Cody. It's not Sami being thrown in. Could they do it? They could always change. I thought watching the Cody interview with Sami, maybe you could make it a three-way. But look, I was told they weren't going to do anything with the Sami thing, but you could always go, it could always change. It's not going to change. What's going to happen is, Sami has been set up to a high level here. And if they want a tag team titles, him and Kevin, perfect. That's a hell of a match to have. Because the Usos have no opponents. So to build this out of spite for what they've done to build against Kevin Owens and to build against Sami Zayn, that's good. It's a well drawn out storyline. Got a lot to it. It wasn't just thrown together at the last minute. Sami Zayn's been IC champion. Remember, he was IC champion before the whole conspiracy theory thing, right? So they're him at that spot. But no, I never think that listen, as long as Sami Zayn, or as long as the belts are combined, no. I don't think it matters if Sami Zayn becomes, undisputed world heavyweight champion. I don't think it matters. And if it did, it would be a short run anyway. It's just going to be, because he's the face. He's the face chasing. He's better at the chase. But they've done enough for him already. He's been IC champion. He was NXT champion. They gave him a lot. I mean, the company, listen, he wasn't even Ring of Honor champion, right? He was tag champions with Kevin, right? But that's it. I don't think he was ever Ring of Honor world champion. And that's okay. For the latter end of his career, to go maskless and to be brought to the level that he is now, I mean, I don't think he could do better with his career. I mean, what he wanted to accomplish once him and Kevin moved their way over here, I mean, I think he's reached where he wants to be. He has carved out something for himself. He definitely learned to promo cut. His work in the ring has always been solid. But this is that WWE machine. Like, you got to have the looks. You got to have that thing. Listen, if Roman's not the guy, Cody can be the guy. Because Cody has all the different attributes that Roman has if they want to put it there. And I don't know what you do. But Sami Zayn did a great job having a match with Roman Reigns. It just did. So we can leave that there. I just don't think you can do much more with it. Now, and the storyline we had on Monday, the way they portrayed that Kevin Owens was going to not work with Sami Zayn, he's done with him. Zayn asked Kevin to come out to the ring, thank him, said he was sorry. Both he and KO couldn't take down the Bloodline, but they could do it together. And Owens said that he meant it when he told Zayn that he was done with him, but he needs to keep taking down but if he needs help taking down the Bloodline, he should just ask his buddy Jey Uso. This is all stuff that needs to get untangled. But it's good to see this all need to be untangled, and it will be enough time for WrestleMania. And then we'll get what we want to get out of this. But just to create this here, that's just compelling storytelling. That's a storyboard. Okay, you're trying to get to the end of the season. WrestleMania is the end of the season. And now you're getting all these different things that are going on. And it's like, how are we going to get to the end? No one has an idea. Classic storytelling at its best. The way that, Netflix and shows on cable used to be back in the day, and shows that are on now, and how they would go and build up to a certain level so they get to the end of the season and then just go ahead and move forward. The shows are being built like that now. I mean, this WrestleMania season, we're going to get a culmination of storylines that will end at WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. When they get that done, it will be everything else that's kind of worked itself out. It's smart. It's been put together. All the thought process has been put into place. It's really good. When I look at where Brock Lesnar issuing a challenge to Bobby Lashley, nobody's going to like the DQ finish, but you were going to give us an answer there. But MVP calling Lesnar a coward for getting himself disqualified. Couldn't break out of the Hurt Locker. MVP having almost stayed next to him so he can announce that almost was a challenge for a match at WrestleMania. We know that Lesnar's going to have a match somewhere. We don't see it yet with who. So the feud is going to continue with Leslie and Lashley. And they could go to WrestleMania, as we've heard about, in a fight pit. We do know that on SmackDown, Bray Wyatt issued a challenge to the winner of Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. And if things move forward in storylines, then we're going to see Omos versus Lesnar and Lashley versus Wyatt coming up. So the seeds being played for future feuds coming up. Good. I mean, let's go in that direction. And I think with Bray Wyatt working with someone like a Bobby Lashley would work better for him. They haven't faced each other yet, so let's go in that direction. And Omos needs to get somewhere. Let's get him a test. Let's give him Brock. It makes sense to do that too. One match that's being considered right now, Gunther does not have an opponent set up yet for him. But the plans are now being put in to get that resolved. So we heard know this. So the plan would be is that WWE is going to Madison Square Garden Sunday, March 12th. And on the official MSG account, there will be a 20-man battle royal, and the winner of that match will challenge Gunther for the IC title. So far, the names listed in that match are Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, New Day, Rey Mysterio, Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor, The Miz, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Johnny Gargano, Omos, Dexter Lumis, Bronson Reed, Rick Boog, Santos Escobar, Braun Strowman, Ricochet, Baron Corbin, and Karrion Kross. Using the MSG show to lead up to WrestleMania to do a WrestleMania contendership. Smart. And that'll be enough to make that match your main event if you want that night. Among everything that they have. And let that match go long. And give us some highlights so we can see who Gunther's going to take on after that. The MSG event is on a Sunday, so that means we would find out about it on Monday night. Maybe we'll get some clips of the match and we can actually get a watch of it. That'll be nice. These are all good things they're setting up. All of it. I'm not disappointed at all. I mean, there are still some things where outside of WrestleMania, we're going to still have things that are still being built up, but nothing's going out really being anything special. Some of the stars are still using out there trying to make something of. I don't know. By the way, Raw tops 2 million viewers for the Fallout Elimination Chambers. We got that. And as I said, we'll continue to look at what they're going to do. It's working out. WrestleMania is going to be good this year. Get ready for it. We're going to enjoy some good stuff coming up. A few more notes before I wrap things up. So Mercedes Varnado, or Mercedes Moné. It might have taken a little bit longer, but she's been working New Japan shows. And the ultimate sign that she was going to continue to do something more forward for herself and her career. I called this after she left last May with Sasha, or with Naomi. Mercedes Varnado, she wants to be able to do more. Now listen, she got a taste of that star, of that spotlight in Hollywood on The Mandalorian. So she's going to go forward. Variety is reporting now that she's the IWGP Women's World Champion. So now she is signed with UTA, one of the biggest agencies in the country. They will help her, quote unquote, secure new opportunities across film, television, theater, and more. And she will continue to be repped by an advocate, Kevin Undergaro. And so she still continued to work with New Japan for wrestling, expanding around the world. And there's no plans for her to finish up with New Japan for wrestling, but there you go. An example of those that do not need to be in WWE at all. That's good for her. She had a wonderfully long run in the prime of her career in WWE, but really, what more were they going to do with her? I think she made the right move. And even after the breakup of how she left, no return to the contract contract expires, she's let go, it's done, and then she can go off and do what she wanted to do. She'll go to Wrestle Kingdom, she did. Everything else worked into place. She's done what she wanted to do. New Japan crowned her Women's World Champion. Congratulations to her. She's doing just fine. Doesn't need anything else at all. That's it. It was a wrestling announcement by Tony Khan, who pitched it off to Adam Cole about AEW All Access. So, profile series on the wrestlers. Now being put in so that, and I guess it's going to be like a limited series, but it'll be something where, since there's that big show, whatever, with like all the stunts and stuff, whatever. There's that show. There's the Power Slap. There's the Battle Bots, I guess it was, right? There's all these other things that TBS has on at 10 o'clock after midnight, or after 10 o'clock on Dynamite. Now they're going to use some AEW programming. That makes sense. I like it. I don't know if I'll watch it, but it's good. They do some good stuff when they do the backstage stuff. So they're going with that. In the meantime, AEW is getting themselves set up for Revolution in a couple weeks. And they're revving up the storylines that need to be revved up. So they have the matches going on. Orange Cassidy retains over Willa Yuta. Now Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks now set up for a match. Open contract for Revolution. Chris Jericho signs the contract. They've done a lot of work with the tag team title picture with the Acclaim, trying to get themselves in, dealing with the Firm, and also dealing with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal and that crew. They definitely stirred up and escalated Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Christian Cage. They've been doing that for a bit. Yes, Saraya now with Tony Storm. They're definitely setting things up. And now, later in the night, Jimmy Hayter was setting up where Ruby Soho is going to try to challenge for the belt. And one of the highlights of tonight, which has been for the last few weeks, while the Bloodline storyline has been so good, the storyline right now with MJF and Bryan Danielson hitting all cylinders. Another monster promo by MJF. Bryan Danielson holding his own, doing great, but let me tell you, a lot of personal attacks in this with William Regal and Bryan Danielson's kids being involved, and MJF just kind of just turning it up to a fever pitch. And it really looked good. Great pull apart. Excellent. And then Jon Moxley dealing with the Dark Order, which is an attack on Hangman Adam Page. It's all good stuff. I'll tell you, everything's being set up for the Revolution pay-per-view really well. I like what they're setting up for that as well. So, looking in the matches we have so far for that, and again, it's 2 weeks, March 5th, and that show's already going to have so far 1 hour Iron Man match, MJF Bryan Danielson. Samoa Joe versus Wardlow TNT title match. Also well done on the promotion for that and getting that match set up. And no hands on each other before the match. Not yet. Well, we kind of sort of, but you know what I'm saying. So far, 3 of the 4 teams have been set up for the World Tag Team title match, and a Casino Battle Royal will determine the 4th team. Guns defend against Acclaimed and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Texas Death match with Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page and Chris Jericho. Ricky Starks is set up. And now we know Women's World title has been set up. Jimmy Hayter will take on Saraya and Ruby Soho. Solid. Couple more matches getting set up, but that's pretty good. Impact Wrestling No Surrenders coming up, but we know that's going to be a match. That's going to be a pay-per-view that maybe we'll have like one title change, but not much more. They're going to be in Las Vegas at Sam's Town. Change it up. Josh Alexander versus Rich Swann for the Impact World title. I'll take Josh to retain. Mickey James versus Masha Slamovich for the Knockouts World Championship. I'll take Mickey. Well, number 1 contenders match, a 4-way match for the Impact World title contendership. PCO, Brian Myers, Heath, Steve Backlund, I'll take PCO. Joe Henry versus Moose at a digital media championship and a dot combat match. I'll take Henry. Knockouts tag team titles, Death Dolls versus the Hex. And I'll take Death Dolls to win. Bullet Club versus Time Machine. And I will take, wow, that's tough. I'll take Time Machine to win. Khan with a design. We'll take out Frankie Kazarian. I'll take Frankie with the win. Countdown and No Surrender. Matches. Pre-show matches. Giselle Shaw with Jai Vidal. Takes on Deanna Purrazzo. I'll take Deanna. Speedball Bailey versus Jonathan Grisham. Nice. And a busted open live at the Tommy Dreamer Bully Ray Summit. All set up for before No Surrender. All coming up. And I'll admit it's been very tough to watch MLW. Try to catch up on that because I haven't got used to going back to cable to watch it. Every time they do this, man, like I get pulled away and I can't find the shows again. And I'm like, damn it, you like set this up for me and I'm always kind of like screwed. You know that? It happens too much and I wish they didn't, but like, what are you going to do, right? I can't figure it out. Because I want to go and keep an eye on what's going on with everything. It's just tough. But oh well, it's what they're going to do, right? So we'll keep working on. All right, so let's go do this. We're going to wrap it up for the night. Come back next week for another Wrestling is Real podcast. Because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast. Find past episodes anytime at WrestlingIsReal.com or subscribe on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or all major podcast distributors. Follow at King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. This has been a presentation of the King of Podcasts Radio Network.